Yo, what's up everybody? This is Damron with Trash Ass Gamers bringing you another Elder Scrolls Online Veteran Dungeon Guide. This is for Fang Lair, which is part of the Dragon Bones DLC. It has a pretty difficult dungeon. This is found in Bankarai, which is obviously in the Daggerfall Covenant region of Tamriel. So if you haven't seen these videos, I will keep these as complete playthroughs. I'll fast forward as we're moving through the ads, but I want to keep these dungeons complete so you know exactly where I'm at and exactly how I got there. Mainly I'll focus on talking about boss mechanics, and I'll also point out anything in the dungeon that I think is important to help you guys that are maybe struggling with this dungeon get through it. So anyway, we'll blast through the first set of ads, and I'll meet you guys at the first boss. Alright, I'll technically keep this fast forward, although this is technically the first boss area, but it's really just a little arena that spawns in ads, and you need to kill several waves of these ads. Now those bone colossi that come in, they'll do an AoE attack that you really need to get out of, as that can really cause a one-hit death for a lot of DPS characters. And then obviously the wraiths will be around at the corner shooting their little attacks that you used to go clean them up when you get a chance. But this isn't really a boss, this is just kind of several ways of ads that you'll need to plow through before you can go to the next section. Alright, you want to take note of these little blue fungi here that when you get close to them they generate a little HOE that explodes and cause a little bit of damage, but not a lot. But it's introducing this mechanic to you for the next boss fight. So those blue fungi are important. We want to stay away from them, certainly stay away from making them explode and doing damage to us. When you get to groups of enemies that have a revivifier in them, make those revivifiers your #1 priority, because the revivifiers after a while will do an attack that can one-shot some people that it targets. So I like to prioritize the revivifiers if they are part of an ag group. Alright, so we're rolling up on our first real boss here, the Cadaverous Menagerie. This consists of a Cadaverous Cinch, a Cadaverous Guar, a Cadaverous Bear, and 3 direwolves. Now the bear is technically the boss, and when you kill the bear, the fight will end. And there's a few things you need to know. One, the Cinch and the Guar are stunnable, but you can't necessarily kill them. Once you take down their health, they'll be stunned for about 2.5–3 minutes. And the Cinch will essentially do a fear attack that'll fear a player, and he will pounce that player. And if that is not interrupted, almost immediately that player will instantly die. The Gwar is not tauntable, he's a ranged attack, so I like to try to get everything stacked on the Gwar. That way all of your damage is hitting everything at once, but in the beginning of the fight, your priority is taking down the Cinch before he even does one pounce. You want to try to get him down before he does that, and you can. You can take him down prior to him pouncing anybody to avoid the fear. And the Gore is not particularly dangerous, so at this point we really want to focus our attention on the bear. Now the Gore will spawn in those blue fungi on the map that I was discussing earlier, and the longer he is alive, the more spores that will be on the levels. So let your AoEs kind of deal with him over time, and when you see him get into execute, then you can kind of finish him off. Now the dire wolves, though, will spawn infinitely. They will just keep coming. So you see them coming at the edge of the screen there, and there's 3 of them. Now if you get too close of them, they will generate a self-exploding AoE that does a heck of a lot of damage. So what you really want to do is have the tank really hold on to this bear, because the bear light and heavy attacks will also kill you as a healer or DPS. And then the rest of you will kind of just kite around, really avoiding those dire wolves at all costs. And if you just kind of kite around in a circle around the main boss, then you should be able to stay away from them. So here's the Cinch. When the Cinch gets back up after his initial stun, he will immediately fear and pounce an enemy, which he did, and unfortunately we weren't able to interrupt him fast enough to save that person, but we'll recover. You really want some players with some crushing shock to be able to do a ranged interrupt on him, and unfortunately the player that had that was down, so we kind of got a little crappy situation there. So there you're seeing that AoE around the wolves. Now that explosion will pretty much kill most of the AoE, or most of your DPS or healer characters. Maybe the tank can survive 1 or 2 of those, but if all 3 of them were to blow up on the tank, he probably will die as well. So once the Cinch gets back up, our main priority is to take him down again to minimize the number of times he is pouncing enemies. And once we take him down, then we want to take down the bear prior to the Cinch spawning again. So ideally, you want to take the Cinch out in the beginning before he pounces ever, and then when he gets up, hopefully he's only going to pounce 1 time before you can take him down again. And in both of those scenarios, you need to rip off about 50% of the bear's health. Now, if your DPS is a little bit lower, it may take you 3 spawns of the Cinch, but the strategy is still the same. Just kite those dire wolves, do not get too close to them, just run around in circles. They're not fast, you don't have to sprint, and just take down this bear over time. Don't worry too much about the war unless you're going for the fungi free achievement, which I'll make a separate guide for that later. So this is a pretty difficult boss. It's going to give you guys some trouble. It's certainly difficult when you first start running this dungeon to get past this particular fight, and in fact I think this is the hardest fight in the entire dungeon. But once you really understand what's going on and what's killing you, you'll be able to get through this more consistently. And I hope this little guide on that enemy kind of gives you an understanding of what all those enemies are doing in that particular fight. So let's get moving, and I'll meet you at the next boss. Alright, so next up is Caluurion. This guy's not too difficult. He won't move, he'll stand in the center, and he'll of course spawn these similar spikes that come out of the ground and explode when the AoE reaches its maximum radius, similar to similar bosses of this type in other parts of the game. Now around the map there will be these relics, and you'll see on the bottom of your screen it'll say a particular relic is active. This is the Lurkture relic, and each relic basically, honestly, you don't have to focus on the relics too much if you don't want to, but basically when they're up, they'll be spawning ads in there relative to that particular relic. And you want to take them out as fast as you can if you are really going after the relics. Although I've seen some players just kind of just stack their DPS on Caluurion and not even focus on the relics at all. So if you want to do that, feel free. I'm just showing you the relics. In fact, most of the time that we run it, we just kind of just keep our DPS up on Caluurion because he doesn't really have that much health and his attacks are really easily avoidable. So we'll just let the ads come on top of the mound and let our AoEs kill them as they spawn in. But we're going to go ahead and take out this other relic just to show you. You can go over here and take these out and prevent the ads from spawning in. So you can see that this one's spawning these skeletons that are exploding. And we'll kill that and we'll go back onto the boss. But again, the boss, this is probably the easiest boss in the dungeon. He just stays in the middle and he doesn't move, so you can really lay down your AoEs and your spammables onto him and just keep up the DPS, and you'll eventually kill him, and you honestly don't even need to worry about those relics. So just hammer him down and we'll meet up at the next boss. Alright, so we're up to the next boss. This guy's not too bad either, Ulfnor, and he has basically this little ghost with him. And what'll happen is that this ghost will chain someone on your team and kind of pull them across the map. And then when they reach the ghost, Ulfnor will slowly make his way over to that player. And if that player is still chained by the time Ulfnor gets to them, he will instantly kill them. So you're going to see that here. I get chained, and basically the other DPS need to go over here and kill this ghost enemy prior to Ulfnor making his way over there to me. If he had got to me prior to them killing that ghost, then I would have been an instant death for me. So that's the main mechanic that you need to worry about. The rest of the fight is pretty simple. So you saw there he will fire out fire AoEs in all directions very randomly. That's something that you need to pay attention to. If you get hit by a bunch of those in a row, that can certainly kill you. And his heavy attack, as long as the tank is holding aggro, you won't have to worry about it. But his two-handed heavy attack does a lot of damage, and that can take you out if the tank happens to lose aggro. So if you see that attack coming your way, drop a roll dodge to get out of there. So other than that, Sabina Cedus is the one chaining us. So other than that, he's pretty weak. Once you get him down to execute, you can just burn him down. And that's basically this fight. Alright, so we're rolling up on the final boss of this dungeon, and I will make a separate video for the hard mode, but we're just going to stay on the normal veteran mode here. So Thurvoken and also Odin the Black. Odin the Black is up on the wall there being a wuss and staying away from us, but still firing some ranged attacks at us. So you'll notice these 4 crystals around the map, and we'll call this first part of the fight the crystal phase. And basically, it's very simple. As you damage down Thurvoken, you're basically going to generate Odin the Black coming down and activating the crystal. And the crystal needs to be burned down quickly, and until you get it burned down, it'll be spawning some adds and eventually a Bone Colossus. And we really don't want the Bone Colossus to be on the board because they're pretty dangerous. They have a very heavy hitting heavy attack that does 80,000 damage if you get hit by it. So this will be the first 50% or so of his health as we take him down and burn him. Well, Orynn the Black will be coming down and activating these crystals. So be sure you have an eye on the crystals as that happens. Now the tank has the most to deal with. The tank is basically holding aggro of the boss, and then every once in a while the tank is going to get a little AoE around his feet. And when that AoE reaches its maximum point, the tank wants to roll dodge. And that's going to spawn these little beetles. So if you roll dodge right as that hits its maximum, the beetle should spawn behind you, and then you can just kite around and not really worry about the beetles too much. And also, Thurvoken will spawn these large poison pools that cover quite a bit of percentage of the map. And that is very dangerous. If you stand in that poison, you will die very, very quickly. So we got to pay attention to that and stay away from that poison. And the third attack he'll do is an Ice Blast from his tail, which generates 3 conical direction of ice attacks that if that hits you, it does a little bit of damage, but it also will knock you down. So those are the basic mechanics of him, and then as you can see, once you burn him past 50%, you'll be in the ghost phase. And in the ghost phase, the ghost will be coming from one section of the wall, and a spirit will come help you and build a golden wall that you need to get behind, because if those ghosts touch you, it's an instant death. So the whole point during that phase is to get behind the wall and maintain your DPS. And then after you take him down, you'll see him regenerate his health and enter this phase. And in this phase, he'll do a couple things, and one is what you saw there. He'll kind of run up to the ceiling, and you'll start having this AoE building up on your feet. And once that AoE reaches its maximum point, he'll fire a shot down at you, and that will kill you unless you found one of those golden circles, which you can consider a cleanse, I guess. Once you get into that golden circle, you're going to be protected from that blast that he shoots down. The key to that is there's only 4 of them, and there's 4 of you. So there's going to be one randomly golden circle placed around the map for each player, and that is random. So you're going to see it here. He'll fear you. Everybody finds a golden circle, and then he's going to fire his blast, but it's not going to hurt us because we got on our golden circle. And then adds are also going to be spawning in during this phase of the fight, these skeleton adds, and they will actually snare you, so that can be annoying. But that's the general mechanics of this fight. I will make a separate video to cover hard mode. I hope this helped you guys. We'll look at the monster set very quickly, the Thurvoken set. Pretty decent set. I personally haven't used it, but I've heard that it's pretty fun to use. It's going to give you extra health, and when a nearby enemy damages you, you summon a pool of desecration bile, and that enemies in the vial receive disease damage and also get minor maim and minor defile, reducing their damage done and healing received. So it's kind of a PvP like set. Anyway, I hope this helped you. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.